Welcome to The Explainer. So you've probably seen the halal label on all sorts of things, right? Meatballs, maybe even moisturizer. But have you ever stopped to think about what's really behind that simple word? Well, it's a whole world of high-tech labs, data science, and some serious, deep investigation. Today we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the science of certainty.
So, beyond just seeing that label on the package, how do we actually know something is halal? Like for real? Well, it turns out that ensuring compliance is kind of like a detective story. And the detectives, they're using this incredible toolkit of modern science and deep research to get a definitive, no doubt about it answer.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll go inside the lab to look at the hard science. Then we'll zoom out to understand the people and practices. After that, we'll map out the whole research landscape to see how everything connects to build, well, a world of assurance.
All right, let's kick things off with our quest for halal certainty. You see, proving something is halal is absolutely not about guesswork. It's all about building a system of trust, a system that's based on verifiable scientific evidence. And to do that, you need a surprisingly diverse set of tools.
And our first stop is inside the halal lab. We're going to zoom right in, all the way down to the molecular level. This is where scientists are basically forensic investigators, searching for that definitive proof of compliance or contamination.
Okay, so one of the most powerful tools in their arsenal is something called PCR. Now, the best way to think about it is like this. Imagine a product is a massive library full of books, right? And you think there might be just one single page of pork DNA hidden somewhere in there. Well, PCR is like a molecular photocopier. It finds that one specific page and makes millions and millions of copies until what was once invisible is now a giant, unmissable stack. And here's how that actually works in practice. So first, you prepare a sample. Let's say it's from a meatball. Then the DNA is super carefully extracted. Now, here's the clever part. Scientists use what are called primers. Think of them as tiny molecular hooks that are designed to grab only pork DNA, nothing else. The PCR machine then kicks in and amplifies whatever those hooks have caught. And the end result? A crystal clear yes or no answer. It literally makes an invisible trace visible with absolute certainty.
But, it's not just about DNA. That's only one piece of the puzzle. What if you're looking for, say, tiny amounts of alcohol? For that, scientists use something called gas chromatography. You can think of it as a super sensitive molecular nose that can sniff out very specific chemical signatures. Or what about spotting forbidden lard in something like olive oil? Well, for that, they might use special optical sensors that act like a prism, revealing contaminants just by how they change the light that passes through them. See? Every tool is a specialist, trained for a very specific job.
So really, what all this lab work boils down to is one single mission: taking a suspicion, a question, and turning it into a concrete scientific fact. It's all about making the invisible visible.
Okay, but a product isn't just a collection of molecules in a lab, right? It exists out in the real world where it's bought and used by real people. And that's why we have to zoom out from the microscope. Because the lab science, that's only one part of the equation. Understanding people and their practices, that's just as critical.
So how do you get that human perspective? Well, researchers dive deep into social science. They conduct these huge surveys across all kinds of different groups. We're talking everyone from Gen Z to heads of households. And the goal is to figure out what really drives people's decisions. What are they actually looking for on a label? How much trust do they put in it? What are their biggest worries? These are the questions they need answers to.
And what's so cool about this is that it goes way beyond just numbers and charts. Things like in-depth interviews. They give a real voice to the people who are on the front lines. We're talking about the supervisors, the business owners, the producers. This is how you uncover the practical, real-world challenges that they're dealing with day in and day out.
And to get that even bigger picture, researchers use frameworks like something called social practice theory. Now, that sounds a bit academic, but all it really is a lens. It's a way of seeing that halal isn't just one single rigid thing. It's actually shaped by local culture, by politics, by market forces. This is what helps explain why the whole process might look totally different in Malaysia compared to, say, Saudi Arabia. It shows how the very meaning of compliance is shaped by the community itself.
All right, so we've been in the lab and we've looked at people's behavior. Now let's zoom out one more time, like way out. What about the entire universe of halal research itself? With so much happening, how do experts even keep track of it all?
Well, the answer is this really powerful tool called bibliometric analysis. And honestly, the best way to think of it is like creating a Google Maps for all the scientific research out there. By analyzing thousands of academic papers, you can see the whole landscape.
You can see which topics are the big, bustling cities of research, who the key navigators or experts are, and even what new frontiers are just starting to be explored.
And this is what that mapping process actually shows us. When you analyze keywords, you see what topics are trending. When you track authors and journals, you can pinpoint the key experts and the most important publications. And by mapping out citation networks, you can literally see how ideas connect and grow over time. It's basically data science, but for discovering knowledge.
And what's incredible is the sheer range of sources this whole field draws on. I mean, on one hand, you have scholars poring over ancient religious texts to understand the foundations. And on the other hand, you have data scientists fine-tuning cutting-edge AI models to analyze thousands of modern religious rulings, or fatwas, on everything from finance to food additives. It is this amazing blend of ancient wisdom and ultra-modern tech.
They even use machine learning to, get this, take the public's pulse in real time. Researchers can literally feed hundreds of public tweets about halal certification into an algorithm to figure out the general vibe. It helps them understand the breakdown of positive, neutral, and negative feelings out there in the digital town square.
So, okay, we've been inside the lab, we've looked at the market, we've even mapped the research data. What does it all add up to? Let's bring all these different threads together and see the final picture.
Here's the most important thing to take away from all of this. Ensuring halal compliance isn't the job of just one group of experts. Not at all. It's this powerful convergence of a whole bunch of different disciplines. You've got molecular biologists in the lab, social scientists out in the field, data analysts crunching the numbers, and religious experts providing guidance. And they're all contributing a critical piece to the very same puzzle.
And when you put it all together, this massive, varied toolkit creates what you could call a robust chain of certainty. It's a chain that connects the tiniest microscopic details, like a single strand of DNA in a lab, all the way up to the huge global market forces that put that final, trusted product right there on the shelf in front of you.
And all of this leaves us with one final big question to think about. When you see the incredible depth of the scientific and social rigor that goes into just this one certification, well, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the stories and what's the science behind all the other labels we see on products every single day?